All right, let's get right into it. You know, for the longest time, the rules for building wealth seemed pretty straightforward. But today, a lot of people feel like those rules are just broken. So, in this explainer, we're going to explore a completely different way of thinking, looking at Bitcoin not as some get rich quick scheme, but as a long term foundation for a whole new financial future.
Think about it. Every huge shift in history, every real revolution, it always starts with a small group of people who see what's coming before anyone else. This isn't just about a new kind of money. The sources we're digging into today argue this is a fundamental shift in what it even means to own something, in the very idea of value itself.
And that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? If you're trying to build a future, trying to get ahead, how do you even play the game when it feels like the board is constantly changing underneath you? When just saving money feels like you're actually losing? This is the problem we're here to tackle.
Okay, so before we can even talk about a solution, we have to get really clear on the problem. Macro investor Raoul Paul has a name for it that I think is perfect. He calls it the silent theft. It's the slow, gradual erosion of your wealth that's happening right under our noses.
And this slide, wow, it just makes that problem so incredibly real. This isn't some abstract economic theory. This is a story told in hard numbers. A 30-year-old today is way less likely to own a home, be married, or even live on their own compared to someone the same age back in 1983. And let's be clear, these are not personal failures. They are symptoms of a much bigger systemic problem. And this number right here, this is the engine driving that whole struggle. According to PAL's analysis, your savings lose about 11% of their actual buying power every single year. That's when you factor in inflation and currency debasement. You know, when governments print more money, making every dollar you've saved worth less. So you do the right thing, you save your money, but your future self is literally getting poorer. That is the silent theft.
So here's the bottom line. Our entire financial system is built on one thing: trust. Trust in banks, trust in governments to do the right thing. But what happens when that trust gets shattered? The 2008 financial crisis showed us exactly how fragile that model can be. And it's that exact weakness that sparks the idea for an alternative.
Which leads us from the problem to a pretty radical new vision. What if you could build a financial system where you didn't have to trust anyone at all? What if, instead of trusting people, you could just trust math?
And this sentence, this is the one that kicked the whole thing off. Right there in the introduction to the Bitcoin white paper, Satoshi Nakamoto laid out the mission plain and simple. Let's build a system that replaces the need for these trusted middlemen with verifiable mathematical proof. That is the core idea. And this slide just lays it out perfectly, right? It's two completely different worlds. On one side, you've got the old model. It's centralized. You need permission. Transactions can be reversed. It all relies on banks. And on the other side, you have the Bitcoin model. It's a network of peers, transactions are final, nobody needs to ask for permission, and verification is decentralized. It's a total paradigm shift. Okay, but how does any of that actually work without a bank in the middle? Well, this is basically how. Think of it like a giant public competition. Computers all over the world, called nodes, are all racing to solve a complex math problem. The winner gets to add the next block of transactions to the public ledger, and everyone else double-checks their work. That's what keeps the entire system honest and secure. No CEO required.
And that super complex math problem we just mentioned, it has a name: proof of work. It is the engine that makes this whole decentralized world go round. It secures the network, it validates every single transaction, and it makes sure there's only one single source of truth for everyone. It completely replaces trust in an institution with trust in pure computation. You know, for years, this was all just a fascinating idea, a niche experiment for tech nerds. But now, the proof that it works isn't just in the code anymore. It's in the market. The biggest financial institutions on the planet are officially off the sidelines and in the game. Okay, get a load of this projection. By 2025, institutions are on a path to be buying 7.4 times more Bitcoin than is even being created. This isn't a trickle of interest, my friends. It's a flood. It's signaling a massive supply shock, where demand from the Wall Street giants is just completely overwhelming the new supply of the asset. So why are they all rushing in? Well, this chart pretty much tells the whole story. As Raoul Paul points out, while traditional markets like the S&P 500 are barely keeping up with that 11% silent theft we talked about, Bitcoin has delivered what's called asymmetric returns.
And this isn't about one lucky year. This is over a decade of performance that has made it, hands down, the best performing asset in history.
So, all of that brings us right back to you. The system is changing, the big players are making their moves. So, what does this mean for the individual, for the creator, for the entrepreneur? How do you position yourself for what's coming next?
The single biggest takeaway here is about a shift in your mindset. This is not about chasing quick profits or gambling on the next hot thing. It's about treating Bitcoin as a long-term savings technology. It's about owning a small piece of a scarce, borderless, and unstoppable network that was built for the digital age.
So, what can you actually do? Where do you even start? The sources all suggest a really simple path. First, just change how you see it. It's savings. Second, if you're a creator or you have a small business, start accepting it for your work. You don't need to be a cryptography expert to use it, just like you don't need to understand TCP/IP to use the internet. The key is just to start small and, most importantly, stay curious and keep learning. And this long-term thinking, it goes beyond just money. Raoul Pal makes a powerful point that we're living through two massive revolutions at the same time. The first is financial, securing your own value with tools like Bitcoin. And the second is intellectual, using the explosion of AI to secure your knowledge and skills. And the thing is, the two go hand in hand. So that's the final thought I want to leave you with. We are in this incredible moment where the very foundations of money and knowledge are being rebuilt from the ground up. The real question isn't if you can stop it, it's are you going to be ready to participate? The first revolution was financial. The next is intellectual. Don't miss it. Search AdamAiXpert on YouTube or Spotify and join the live AI classes every Wednesday.